Hello everybody, this is Johns Hopkins with Baltimore Heritage, and it is Monday, May 18th, and we are in week 8 of our coronavirus lockdown and week 8 of our 5-Minute Histories videos. Thanks for joining us, and I think we are going to just jump right in. Today we're going to talk about the Bolton Hill Blue Plaque program, and I'm kind of excited to share this with you all because it is definitely something that you can come and walk around, get a little exercise, and do all the time while socially distancing. The Blue Plaque program recognizes people who have made significant accomplishments who have lived in Bolton Hill. They get a blue plaque about the size of a dinner plate to commemorate what they've done. We actually copied ours from the city of London. In 1867, London started a blue plaque program to recognize the houses of famous people who once lived there. The deal is in London to get a plaque, first of all, you have to have done something significant, and then you have to be dead. In fact, you have to be dead for 20 years or more. With one little caveat, you can be alive and get a plaque, but you have to have turned 100 years old. So that's the deal in London. In the early 2000s, a historian, a Hopkins historian named Frank Shivers, who lives in Bolton Hill, said, well, if London can do it, we can do it too. And so Frank, along with several other folks, started our own Blue Plaque program in Bolton Hill. The deal with us is you have to have done something significant and you have to be dead, but just dead, not 20 years dead, just any dead. And if you're over 100, that qualifies as well. So we're going to talk about a few of the blue plaques in the program today. What we're not going to talk about is the plaque for Woodrow Wilson. We all know Woodrow Wilson, but he lived in Bolton Hill. We're not going to talk about F. Scott Fitzgerald. He got a plaque for living in Bolton Hill. We're not going to talk about the lieutenant to Robert E. Lee, who was there at his side at the surrender of Appomattox, or 3 or 4 doors down, the federal judge who was maybe Baltimore's biggest proponent of Abraham Lincoln, later known as the scourge of the KKK, fighting white supremacy. So on the same block, a high-up Confederate general and a very much staunch judge. That must have been a fun block to be on. I guess maybe don't walk your dogs there back then. But what we are going to talk about are 4 people who I thought were pretty fascinating. The first is a gentleman named Jesse Lazear, and he lived at 127 West Lanvale Street. And Dr. Lazear was a Hopkins physician. And in 1900, he was part of a yellow fever commission sent to Cuba to try to prove that mosquitoes were the vector for yellow fever. And he did so courageously, is what the records show. I might have another adverb for it, but he basically stuck his arm into a nest full of infected mosquitoes. He in fact got yellow fever and proved that it was transmitted by mosquitoes. 17 days later, he died. So he is somewhat of a martyr in the medical profession, but he was very important in helping to eradicate yellow fever in the tropics, in Cuba, later in Panama, digging of the canal. The second person we're going to talk about is William Halsted, and let me cheat and look and see where he was. He was at 1301 Madison. And Halsted, you might know that name. He's got a wing named after him, a building named after him at Hopkins Hospital. He was another Hopkins doctor. In fact, he's called the father of American surgery. And he was one of the big 4 at Hopkins, starting the medical program there. But he did a couple really amazing things, lots of amazing things, but among them, he pioneered techniques to do surgery with sterilized equipment, trying to keep all the germs out. That was a new thing. He pioneered mastectomies to fight breast cancer, and he also pioneered the use of anesthetics in surgery. So the surgery would go better and the patient would go better. So come check out his blue plaque on Madison. The third person I want to talk about is Ernest Stebbins. And Stebbins, let me cheat again, he was at 201 West Lanvale Street. Stebbins was another Hopkins doctor. I guess I picked a lot of doctors here. But Stebbins I wanted to point out, especially today, because he was a dean of the Hopkins School of Public Health. I think it was called the School of Hygiene and Public Health back then. For 20 years, he was in New York. He was a public health commissioner for New York City for many years. And importantly, he was one of the founders of the World Health Organization. He lived right here in Bolton Hill for a number of years. And I thought that as we're fighting this pandemic, that maybe pay a special tribute. If you do come over, and please do come and walk around on our sidewalks. I'm here in my living room in Bolton Hill, but come and check him out. The final person I want to highlight is a gentleman who does not yet have a blue plaque. He is awaiting one. I think the Blue Plaque Committee in Bolton Hill said hopefully June a new round of plaques will come in. And his name, and let me make sure I pronounce this right, Soterios Pappas. Soterios Pappas, known as Buddy, was born in Washington, D.C., and he was, at a young age, a pretty successful artist, even as a teenager. But then he ran into his idol. He was a son of Greek immigrants, and he ran into his idol, who was a Greek professional wrestler. And Buddy became one too. In fact, I think I read a report that he was 5'9" and almost 260 pounds. So a burly guy. And he put his art career on hold, became a wrestler, but then came back to art, moved to Las Vegas, painted portraits of some well-known people like John Wayne, and did quite well out in Las Vegas. And you're saying, well, where's the Baltimore connection? Well, in the 1950s, he picked up his art career again and became the art director at a TV studio called WBAL. And in the 1950s, while living in Bolton Hill, he was part of the team that came up with the really pioneering kids show called Romper Room. So we can all thank Buddy Pappas and his kind of up and down art career, ending up in Las Vegas, but doing a stint here and contributing to the world. His house is on Lanvale Street. When I actually looked it up from the Bolton Hill records, the house that was listed is actually not there. So I'll have to come back later on and tell you exactly which house is going to get the blue plaque. But please come on out, and I hope you enjoy. We'll see you tomorrow.